You're listening to the Rebel Connect podcast, powered by Rebel Strength and Performance. Community isn't built by luck. It's built by people who show up every day, take risks, and create real impact. I'm Derek Talish, owner of Rebel Strength and Performance, along with co-host Melissa Jaquinto. We sit down with Rebel members, local business owners, community leaders, and change makers. You'll hear their success stories and the way they're building community and legacy right where you live. Want to stay inspired and connected? Subscribe or follow the show so you never miss an episode. This is Rebel Connect, where local stories become lasting impact. Welcome back to another episode of Rebel Connect. Hey, yo, Tony! Cut the mozzarella. Hey. Cut the mozzarella. Hey. Cut the mozzarella. Cut the mozzarella. Guys, today's topic is meal prep.
Dun, 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 dun.
Meal prep coming from Fairfield, New Jersey.
How you doing?
How you doing?
I can't do that.
No, your how you doing sucks.
I can't.
Let me hear yours. What are you doing?
My thing turned. I don't know how.
Probably because we were hitting
How
the
you
table.
doing?
That was pretty good.
I heard you though.
How you doing?
I'm not doing mine.
The
Mine's
Joey
not
Tribune.
very
Let me hear.
good.
How you doing?
Melissa's how you doing is, how are you?
How art thou?
Guys, different types of meal prep. Our main objective of today's episode is to talk about the different types of meal prep and how they might fit you, your personality, your lifestyle, all the above. I say personality because I think our meal prep tactics actually fit our personalities
100%.
pretty perfectly.
Yes.
Yep.
So, point being, everybody's got their own style. I want to lead off with the most regimented meal prepper I know. Melissa
Hey. I will preface this by saying, when I talk to people about meal prepping, I do not say that they have to do it the way that I do it, because my type A personality comes out when I meal prep. I am the regimented meal prepper, the cookie cutter, glass container, beautiful, lovely meals every week. I've been doing this for maybe 6 years now. I've been meal prepping. I'm the type, I do it every single Saturday or Sunday. I am prepped and ready to go for the week. I do this because I am on the go Monday to Friday, bouncing around from place to place, and I know that I have zero time to cook something at lunchtime. It's mostly my lunches that I meal prep. But I meal prep full meals. I don't always portion them out or anything like that, but I have everything set for Monday to Friday, and I cook my breakfast the night before. I have an entire bag of food that I bring into the gym. Everyone knows it, and my stuff is planned for the entire day. Like I said, for some people, you might hear this and get super overwhelmed and think that you could not do this. But I will say, my meal prep only takes me about an hour. So it's not a super long-winded thing. People might think you have to sit for 4 hours to prep all these meals, and I won't lie. If you do certain types of complicated meals, it can take 3 to 4 hours. If you're individually portioning everything out, you're doing something that's super complicated and floofy and crazy. I try to do very simple meals, things I can throw into the crock pot and walk away and do other things and then come back and package it up. Things where I just have to cook the protein and then I have the carb on the side, and it's very simple. So that is how I meal prep. Works for some people, overwhelms other people, but for me and my schedule, it works very well.
Melissa, the type of person to care that her fridge looks pretty.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely my fridge is beautiful. Me and my husband love Pellegrinos. They're perfectly laid out. I have one of those drink dispensers where
Pellegrino was
I have a drink dispenser.
Wish you didn't tell me that.
And why?
Don't like the drink dispensers.
No, I like the drink dispensers.
Really? I want to hear why.
There's really no reason. I just don't like the ads for them. The ads really make me upset.
Well, are we thinking of the same drink dispenser?
What do you do when you get upset over these ads? Can you walk me through that?
What's the reaction?
If I'm scrolling and I see one of those ads, I just have to stop and search up some Eagles highlights and watch those to make me happier again.
Anyways.
Specifically, Rams game in the snow. Continue.
I'm ignoring you. I have a drink dispenser. I put my husband's orange juice in a glass container, put milk in the glass container. It's very OCD, low-key.
Probably so satisfying.
But I love it.
But that's...
It makes me happy.
Do you... How often do you switch up your meals in terms of what you prep? Do you prep the same thing each week?
I
streaky,
will
so I wanna
eat
know.
the same thing until I can't look at it anymore. So I have gone 3 to
Retweet.
4 weeks at a time eating the same lunches because it's simple and I don't have to think that much about it. I have a few things that I rotate between. I rarely try new recipes because it's a lot of effort for me to try to find something, get all the ingredients for it. It's just a lot more mental work for me. So I try to stick to the things that I know and that I like.
Weren't you going on about like, ooh, it's pumpkin oat season?
Oh, yeah,
Something
that
like
was yesterday. I was like, Derek, my pumpkin overnight oats are coming back. I'm pretty
Seasonal.
excited about it. It is a seasonal thing, but they're delicious.
Melissa's oats smell so good when she puts them in the microwave.
The one
I can't get enough.
I can't get enough. Okay, the one thing I will say is that I get a lot of compliments about the smell of my food. I do love cooking. I do enjoy it. And Tyler has asked me to cook him breakfast like 4 times. He's like, can you please just bring me one of your meal preps? It smells so good every time you heat it up. And then Ryan deeply inhales my oats every single time I
Should I
make
do
them.
it?
Yeah.
That's how I smell them because they smell so good, and I want some, but
I can bring you some.
No,
Well, the cool part about it is Melissa's basically taken her meal prep guide. I mean, how many do we have now?
Like
We
7.
probably have 7 different
Probably.
meal prep guides that are all seasonal. We have those for anybody.
Yeah.
So drop us a comment, drop us a DM. We will hook you up with any one of those meal prep guides because there's a ton of creative and delicious food.
I
in
always
there.
say I've done the hard work and sorted through the recipes so that other people don't have to, because that's the worst part, is finding the things that you like. It does take a little bit of back end effort to find things that work for your schedule, for how much time you have to meal prep, and what you enjoy eating. Because I think that you should enjoy your meal prep and it shouldn't be boring chicken and rice all the time.
Guesswork eliminated.
Yes, exactly. That is my style. I don't want to think about a thing. I want all my stuff planned for the next day.
I think it's an incredible way to be. I personally do think, and I have been regimented to the degree that you are, my season of life, or so I tell myself, is a little bit different in terms of what I've come to value from a meal prep perspective. I will focus on one thing and one thing only. It is our first tier in any nutritional program that we put out there. It's protein. That is my focal point almost entirely, because I know that for me, if I focus on the protein of each meal and making sure that it's most of the meal, the rest of my quote-unquote macros are going to fall in line. My fat's going to be no problem. My carbs are going to be reasonable. I'm very in touch with what my body needs and craves. I do think that is one of the bigger takeaways from my point of view on this. Pay attention to your cravings, because your cravings kind of help tell a story as to what your body might need in your diet, especially when you are switching up the way you're doing it. So the way I go about this is I like to prep a protein. Typically speaking, one of my grounding habits is breakfast. So when my breakfast is healthy, when my breakfast is on point, everything else falls into place. Grounding habits are habits that happen and then other good things happen after that, right? So that's essentially like the easiest way of thinking about like a grounding habit. Breakfast is normally eggs, and then I'll go from there. But I'll have, 6 to 8 eggs in a breakfast. It's a very large egg breakfast. I know that I'm satisfying, between 50 and 60 grams of protein with that. Will have some cheese in there too. With that said, I'm also going to make sure that the protein is the center of my lunch. Protein is the center of my dinner. I have 2 protein shakes a day. That is the winning recipe for me in terms of meal prep. I will be able to plug in my lunch. I like to go out for lunch sometimes. Sometimes I will go home for lunch. Evening, whatever the family is having, and I will center protein as well. Erica is a crock pot magician.
I love
We
the
have
crock pot.
many crock pots. There's always a
So
protein
easy.
source that's being cooked in the crock pot. I wish it was mac and cheese, but it's not. It is always a protein source that's being cooked in the crock pot, so we will always have those things readily available. That's pretty much how I go about it. There are periods of time where I get a little bit more in depth, but that is pretty much me 24/7, 365 how I think about it.
Can I interject?
I
You
would
said
be honored.
something super important. I actually was having a conversation with a member about this last night, and a conversation with my sister about this on the beach. And we were talking about consistency and how there are certain times of year where consistency with food gets difficult, i.e. the summer. I know I usually am not in my best shape in the summer because there's a lot of social plans on the weekends, and I know that food is going to be a little bit weird. but the importance of grounding habits and how the way that you meal prep doesn't matter, but what matters is that it supports your grounding habits. And I was talking to a member about that last night. She told me, the summer was really rough for me. I'm just starting to get back on my meal prep game again and all of that. And I said, you need to figure out what your grounding habits are. Like you, although I do pretty religiously meal prep, if I have vacation or, things that might quote unquote throw me off my usual game, instead of freaking out about it like I used to, I was not very resilient to things like that. I have the grounding habit of protein also, where that is what I'm trying to hit. I was at the beach last week. I brought my quick, easy protein sources, my drinkable yogurts, certain things to know that I'm going to hit that grounding habit every day, even though other things are going to be a little bit off. But I know it makes me feel better and that it's going to keep my fitness at a better level if I have one or two things that I continue to do. So I think that's the most important part of meal prep.
1,000%. And what you're also talking about is, like, say you have those moments like the down the shore. We just got out of that season, right? And we're about to enter the holiday season, okay? Which is kind of just a different flavor of the down the shore season. If you know what is in what, right? If you know a certain amount of protein is in this, if you know a certain amount of carbs are in this is why I like tracking, at least to a certain degree, to educate yourself about what is in certain foods. Once you know those things, once you know the rules, you can break them, you can adjust them. State troopers can speed on the highway, right? You can figure, all right, I had this, I have this work event tonight, and I want to be a real person. I want to have what I want to have at this work event. Well, guess what? You can, but we're going to suggest that you have almost exclusively protein for breakfast and lunch with vegetables, and then you can do pretty much whatever you'd like on it within reason in the evening, or it's not like
80-20 rule.
It's
Yep,
not
pretty much.
it's not an all you can eat buffet, right? But you can go and you can enjoy yourself at the holiday party. That's an example of getting around the social part of the season that we're about to get into.
Yep.
And one thing that I just thought about really that you just made me think about that I think is like really important to address for a lot of people is like, I also agree that like at some point in your life, if your goal is to gain or lose weight, that you should be tracking something. And it can be very overwhelming for people to like, and they kind of are just pushing it off. But like you exactly just said, it's like you maybe, like for me, it was just protein. You maybe have to do that 1 to 2 weeks. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's 2 months of just, all right, let me track my protein, looking up how much protein's in this, how much protein's in that. After a while, when you build the habits, you start to be able to just kind of go through your day and think, what did I have for breakfast? I'm at 20. What did I have for lunch? I'm at 45. I'm at 60. And then you kind of just like go through. That's how I would really just learn how my body feels. And if I know it's 5 p.m. and I have only 40 grams of protein in my system throughout the day, I need a big dinner. And I know I'm going to go home and eat a steak or something like that. And it's just like putting in, it might seem daunting and overwhelming. I have to track this the rest of my life. I have to track everything. But you get to a point where you're just comfortable enough to know your body and know what you've had throughout the day and how it's going to affect you for the rest of the day and what you need.
Second nature.
It doesn't happen by accident,
Nope.
is what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like, of course, there has to be a little bit of effort with food,
Yeah,
right? But
definitely.
we can present it in a way that's not overwhelming, which is exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
And Ryan, give us a little bit of an update on the way you think about this. I think that you actually started, and I think you described it pretty well about like, but give, if you can, take it a step further with showing us exactly how you work from your nutrition.
So my nutrition and meal prep, I put air quotes around meal prep because it's definitely not the same that Melissa does, and I'd say probably not even that Derek does as well. I also still have the grounding habit of, for me, my breakfast, when I'm up early, or even when I'm up just at a normal hour, I'm always doing protein bar apple because I love apples. Shout out Red Delicious. I love
4016.
What about Honeycrisp apples?
I don't know that one.
I love Honeycrisp. Derek used to work at a food store, and he just
Just a food store.
gross.
Jack's Super Food Town in Caldwell.
I'm sorry.
just a
And
food
he
town.
still knows all the codes of all of the foods, which is just insane. But anyways, continue, Ryan.
Yeah, so basically exactly what Melissa and Derek were saying. There's a reason that we like all have that one grounding habit.
Oh my God, 4016 really is Red Delicious. I was right. Sorry, Ryan. Sorry.
That's crazy.
That's okay. That's awesome that you still know that. I'm gonna now remember that for the rest of my life.
Yep.
Anyway, that grounding habit for me is like the drive in. Like when I'm driving in to come coach or to do anything, even on the weekends, most times it may look a little different, but it's always like I want fruit because I value like the things that brings to the table, fiber and things like that. And then the protein bar, 20 grams of protein early in the morning. And there's chocolate around it and only 1 gram of sugar. How does that happen? I don't know. But I'm going to keep eating them. And so that's like how I start my day. And I know that even if I have a bad nutrition day where I didn't hit my protein that I wanted to, or I ate a little bit more sugar than I wanted to, that I know that I'm at least starting my day with a fruit and a lot of protein. And then my lunch was always almost, let me go look around and see what kind of options I can find around wherever I am. I'll pick up maybe an omelet on the way home. I love a onion, pepper, and bacon or ham omelet. That's one of my favorites. But I would say that in the same breath that like meal prep or nutrition always like has to reflect your goals. You can't just take what someone else does and use it for yourself, which is why I think we're an awesome like group to do this, because we're
all very different.
Yeah, we're so different.
We're also different the way we handle it.
So yeah, like a lunch for me is very loose. I kind of just get what I want. Try to stay away from fried things and sugary things, and that's really my two main rules. Is I try to keep it simple and just like don't have like French fries for me are the one thing that I'm like I like them. I don't love them, but I do enjoy a French fry. But that's like the one thing that French fries and soda. I'm gonna stay away from those for the most part, and then everything else kind of falls into line.
Do you guys have any foods where like unhealthy foods where when it's around you don't have a governor? Because I do. I'd like to hear what your guys are.
French fries.
Really?
I could put down so many French fries. I love them so dearly, especially disco fries. And yeah.
What are you gonna say?
Oh God.
All right, so I try to stay away from sugar. I probably have, I would say, 3 to 4 chocolate milkshakes per week.
Oh
just
my
because
gosh.
that's my one thing that I will not
It's
give
your
up.
caveat. You can't get rid of it.
I love it.
I have
Coming home
another
from
one
golf,
too.
Really? What is
chocolate
it?
milkshake.
Chips and salsa. I could eat the whole
Chips
bag.
and salsa? Yeah,
I could eat the
good one.
whole bag.
Mine's Lay's potato chips.
Ugh, see, they don't do it for
Well,
me.
I don't. That's the thing. They can't be in the house. Like they're not allowed to be in the house because I don't have a governor. I will eat them all.
They're so good.
Cheez-Its.
Yeah.
Oh.
And chewy chips. Ahoy.
Really?
Oh my god, those
Yeah.
are my top 2, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's, you know what? Potato chips are so grossly unhealthy, where it's like they can't be around. Like I don't eat them, but my God, do I love potato chips.
I love them too.
That said, I want to get some practical tips kind of roundabout, right? So we've got Melissa who, and we're actually really good examples of like the contrast of what I'm going to talk about with Melissa. She schedules prep time. She schedules shopping time, right? She invested in good containers. She makes it fun enough for herself where she enjoys the food, right? So what Melissa is paying for is time, right?
Correct.
We pay for product, but in turn don't dedicate the time to the prep in most cases, right? So that's really like the caveat. Another alternative, if you want to be as regimented as Melissa is, but you know that you're not going to be able to, or do not at this point in time want to, right? Because I actually really hate the phrase not able to. If you're choosing not to prioritize the way that Melissa does, okay, because that's what I do. I choose not to prioritize my meal prep the way Melissa does. I'm going to pay for it elsewhere. You can also do a meal prep company. A meal prep company is going to give you the regimented style that Melissa is talking about, right?
I use them sometimes.
And that's the thing,
If
right?
I
So
have
that's
a crazy week where like I'm away on vacation, or I know that I have a jam-packed weekend where maybe I don't have that hour to meal prep, I will order meals.
for me. Like, so a person like you, meal prep is the fallback. For me, my fallback is protein shakes always stocked in the fridge. I like to get different types of protein shakes for the staff. I just load them up in the fridge, and if somebody's hungry, they can have them.
Yep.
And I always try to get different types of protein shakes. I like pre-mades, like different kinds we enjoy trying. They're always in the fridge. They're simple, and if you're in jam, you get to them. That is my go-to there. Now, Ryan, he outsources whatever lunch he really wants to do, right? But he's got those things that he has built in place that are also going to hit his protein requirements. So though a little bit different than me, similar in concept, he's a little bit more scramble, right? So I would say that the biggest takeaway from this podcast is try to figure out which one is going to be the best implement for you right away. This is kind of where we start with everybody, protein first, and then you can kind of build off from there. Some people need more rigidity. Some people need a little bit more structure. But either way, the rules still apply.
Yes. Can we give maybe our one big tip for each style of being successful? Because I have mine.
First? Oh, I thought you looked at me.
I know I have mine.
Go.
If you're rigid like me and you want to do that, variety is your biggest enemy. The more variety in meals you have, the more planning, the more prepping, the more time it's going to take. So I keep my meals a little different by changing dinner every night. So I have a different dinner every night. I don't meal prep my dinner. I do plan out what I eat for dinner, but it's different every night. Breakfast, lunch, snacks are basically the same every single day. That keeps me feeling like things are a little bit different and not too monotonous all the time. But if you're trying to do 5 different lunches every day, it's going to be insanely difficult and time consuming.
Love it. My tip would be to have breakfast. And that's not a rule for everybody. You don't have to absolutely have breakfast, but if you're doing things like I do, eat breakfast, because getting your protein in early is going to be essential. If you reach a point in time, if you're intermittent fasting where it's 12 o'clock and you haven't had an ounce, a little bit of protein yet, it's going to feel like an uphill battle to hit our protein recommendation. So my recommendation is to have breakfast. Ryan?
I completely agree with that one, but I would say my tip would be, like Derek was alluding to before, with like, if you're not going to set the time aside, you're going to pay for it somewhere else. One of my biggest things that I'll tell a lot of people, and just like Melissa also said, like, it doesn't have to be done this way, but I love when I'm making dinner, if I'm having burgers, I'm going to make 6 to 8 of them. And now I know I have that protein ready in the fridge. I can grab it and then scramble for the carbs, like you mentioned. And another tip that I wanted to share with you guys that you might think is weird, or I might get some heat for, but it actually works so well. I will take a steak and I'll season it, put it in the air fryer, and undercook it just barely so that I can grab it, put it in the same tinfoil that I wrapped it up in, put it right in the air fryer, throw it in for 6-7 minutes, and then it's ready, it's warm, and it's not undercooked. I've actually eaten steaks in the car before. Don't
That's crazy.
recommend that, because I did get steak juices all over my pants, but it wasn't going anywhere important, so it didn't matter. But that's my biggest thing, is over prepare when you're already cooking, so that you have things for the lunch the next day, and something to that effect.
Excellent tip. Guys, I think that's about all we have for today. Thank you so much, listeners, for joining us for another episode of Rebel Connect, and we will catch you next time.